Today started out as the best day of my life.
Back here tonight, first show's at 7.
Yes! Woohoo! You know what that's gonna say? Joe Gardner. I did it. I got the gig.
Welcome to your weekly ticket. Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie has cast Cooper Hoffman, the late Seymour Hoffman's son. This will mark his feature acting debut playing a child actor in the 1970s set coming-of-age drama. Hoffman is playing the child actor at the center of the film, which involves multiple storylines and is set in the San Fernando Valley. The film will also star Bradley Cooper and singer-songwriter Alana Haim. And according to Collider, Uncut Gems co-director Benny Safdie will also star. Dear Evan Hansen, the hit Broadway musical, is coming to the big screen. The original show tells the story of an awkward high schooler who gets caught up in a lie after telling people he was best friends with a fellow student who dies by suicide. Universal's adaptation has already tapped Ben Platt to reprise the role of Evan Hansen. In addition to Platt, Julianne Moore, Amy Adams, Caitlin Dever, and Amanda Stenberg will star. Stephen Chbosky will direct the feature, and Stephen Levinson will write the script. And Stephan James from If Beale Street Could Talk is set to star opposite Russell Crowe in Paramount's American Son. The film centers on a man who, after falling under the control of a ruthless mobster while in prison, builds a multiracial crime syndicate and earns a place for his crew alongside rival mafias. It's no surprise there's been a ton to keep up with as Hollywood shifts release dates due to coronavirus, but with movies like Wonder Woman 1984 and Pixar's next movie Soul, there's still a ton to look forward to this fall. To break it all down for us and give us a preview of what's to come, we have managing editor Erik Davis. Erik, what are you looking forward to coming out this fall?
My most anticipated film, believe it or not, it's the next original movie from Pixar. It's called Soul, S-O-U-L, directed by Pete Docter. And for those who don't know the different directors from Pixar, Pete Docter is the director that's going to probably make you cry. He's known for films like Inside Out and Up. And this is a film that stars Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey. And I like it for multiple reasons. One is Pixar. I love Pixar. I love everything that they do. They're very creative and original and colorful. And the animation always looks gorgeous. I'm also a big jazz fan. I'm also a New Yorker. This is a film that is about New York. It's about jazz. It's about music. It speaks to everything that I love in my own soul. And it's about a musician who's lost passion for music and he's transported out of his body. And he has to find a way back through this infant soul that's learning about herself. So like Inside Out, it's going to speak to emotions. Souls are going to be characters. There's going to be jazz, and jazz itself is eclectic. It's creative. It's original. It's unexpected. And I think jazz meeting Pixar animation is just a recipe that's for awesome. And so I think a lot of us are looking for a good cry right now after the year that we've all had. Mm-hmm. I think this movie will give it to us.
Yeah, and usually with Pixar, it's a good cry, but it presents hope. So that's like a good thing. We need that a little bit of hope too. So I think that's great. What is everyone talking about this fall?
Well, superhero movies, of course. Marvel Studios, believe it or not, but their first and only 2020 movie, Black Widow, is due out. This is a prequel about the Scarlett Johansson character that's going to bring in some characters from her past, and we'll see how it evolves the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether or not it speaks to what happened to that character. And so we'll have to see sort of what happens next with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is Black Widow. And then we also have Wonder Woman 1984. This is a film that has hopped around to a few different dates, but it looks awesome. And, they very wisely made the sequel to Wonder Woman set in a completely different era. This is the 80s. There's going to be a pop of color. It's going to be funny. There's going to be fanny packs. They figured out a way to bring Chris Pine's character back, which is great, because the chemistry between he and Gal Gadot is what makes that first movie so special. Kristen Wiig plays a character named Cheetah. She looks wild. So I think it's going to be a really fun DC sequel for Wonder Woman, which really was one of the most successful films that DC has ever put out. And so we have those two superhero movies. And then a couple of other big movies that a lot of people are talking about are Candyman. This is Nia DaCosta's film, produced by Jordan Peele. It's sort of a spiritual sequel to the original Candyman that's set in the same neighborhood where the legend began. And then, of course, Mr. Bond is back. He was coming back this past spring, but then COVID happened. So now he's coming back this November. No Time to Die. It is being billed as Daniel Craig's final performance as James Bond.
We'll see. But it's great. Oh, there's a lot of like really fun question marks behind like all of the superhero movies coming out, because they're in different time periods. Kristen Wiig, what do you think? Are you excited about that?
I am. I watched that last trailer where at the end of it, we see a little bit of her final transformation into Cheetah, and it looked pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious to learn more about those characters and how the villains factor in, and does it set up anything else? Are there any other DC characters that we see? DC Fandom was such a big event. So many things were revealed there. What will Wonder Woman 1984 set up, if anything, of what we are still to come to see from the DC extended universe?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that it has to potentially set everything up or be its own little spin-off. But what about stuff, under the radar? We know that everything's moving, but is there anything that's going under the radar that may be an Oscar contender?
Yeah, potentially. I'll give you a few that I'm looking forward to. And I'll start with a film called One Night in Miami. And I start there because Regina King, who has just been lighting up the joint as of late, winning an Oscar, winning an Emmy, nominated for more Emmys for Watchmen. This is going to be her feature directorial debut. It takes place February 25th, 1964, to be exact. Cassius Clay just defeated Sonny Liston. He became the heavyweight champion of the world. He wants to go out and celebrate. He can't go out to Miami Beach because the Jim Crow era segregation laws are still in place. And so he has to go to Miami's African-American Overtown neighborhood to hang out with some of his best friends. Who are his best friends? Malcolm X, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke. So this is going to be a pretty awesome movie from Regina King, telling this story that we've never really seen before on screen played out. So that's one movie that I would highly recommend. Also, On the Rocks is another one. This is Sofia Coppola's new movie. Why everybody's talking about it is because Sofia Coppola is reteaming with Bill Murray. You'll remember they made Lost in Translation. Bill Murray was paired up with Scarlett Johansson in that film. In this film, he is paired up with Rashida Jones. And Rashida Jones plays a woman who's married to a guy who's traveling away on business a lot. She feels like he may be up to something. So she goes on an all-night kind of to track him and follow him and see what's going on. And she takes her Playboy father with her, Bill Murray. They're a bit estranged and trying to reconnect. And so looks like a really fun role for Bill Murray. Rashida Jones is really great too. And so seeing that matchup from Sofia Coppola is one to watch out for. Another couple that I'll give you, Spontaneous. If you're looking for a high school comedy that is thinking really outside the box, this is based on a novel about a high school where the kids just began spontaneously exploding out of nowhere. And everybody's trying
I'm not laughing. Like, that sucks. It's just funny.
No, I think it's played as like a dark, dry comedy of these kids that are just exploding. And it's like, what the hell's going on? Catherine Langford, Charlie Plummer are among the stars in that one. And it just looks ridiculous. And I think for somebody that's just wanting to look for like a high school dark comedy that's just different, there's Spontaneous. And then lastly, there's a film called, I'll just say the name. It's called Shithouse. And why I mentioned this one, this is a really small one, but it did win the grand jury prize at the virtual South by Southwest Film Festival that just took place this past spring. I was able to watch it. And if you're a fan of films like Before Sunrise, sort of these movies about people meeting and then spending like an all night together where they're learning about each other's past and they're learning about each other's futures and will they fall in love? Will they not fall in love? Are they meant to be together? Those sort of movies for a romantic. This is this one. It's written and directed and starring a guy named Cooper Raiff, as well as Dylan Galula, who's fantastic in it. And it's about a college freshman who goes to a party at this frat house that's named Shithouse and ends up spending the night this sophomore resident advisor. And they just kind of hang out all night. She's going through some stuff. He's going through some stuff. Together, maybe they can figure out what they want to do next. And it's a really sweet movie. And like I said, I talk about Richard Linklater's Before Sunrise because it feels very much inspired by that film, but for a new generation.
Thanks for the recommendations. I don't think I knew about a couple of these. All right, well, thank you so much, Erik Davis, managing editor at Fandango. Love having you on the show, man. In theaters this Friday is Broken Hearts Gallery.
Lucy.
Do you think you want to try getting out of bed today?
We're getting smell complaints from the city. Have you just been masturbating and braiding your hair for 3 weeks?
My vibrator will never break my heart.
Well, it will break your vagina.
Broken Hearts Gallery follows the always unique Lucy, a 20-something art gallery assistant living in New York City who also happens to be an emotional hoarder. After she gets dumped by her latest boyfriend, Lucy is inspired to create the Broken Heart Gallery, a pop-up space for the items love has left behind. Word of the gallery spreads, encouraging a movement and a fresh start for all the romantics out there, including Lucy herself. Geraldine Viswanathan, Dacre Montgomery, and Bernadette Peters star. But if you'd rather stay in, check out Beats on Fandango now.
They want us to get in line, but we won't. They want us to be afraid of each other, but we're not. That boy dragged you down. Just you try and stop us all.
A universal story of friendship, rebellion, and the irresistible power of music set against the backdrop of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994, which banned unlicensed raves across the UK. Beats follows best friends and polar opposites Jono and Spanner, who, realizing they are destined for different futures, sneak out to an illegal party in pursuit of one last crazy night together. Alright everyone, well that's it for today, but leave us a comment and let us know which fall film release you're most looking forward to. I'm Khail, and I'll see you next time.